this is where most people fall in line with pornography and masturbation. When you're watching pornography, you're creating dopamine releases in your brain. When you masturbate, you're creating dopamine releases as well. Your brain is wise. Your body is wise. It begins to understand, hey, you're releasing dopamine at a stronger level than you're supposed to. Dopamine is supposed to be released when you acquire something that you've worked hard for and achieved a goal, or endurance exercise, or indeed reproduction. Now, if you are just taking on lots and lots of dopamine hits from pornography and masturbation, you become a drug addict. Because just like a drug addict needs to take on more drugs to secrete more dopamine to get the bigger hit, your body starts dulling down the amount of dopamine it gives you because it knows, hey, this is not normal, this is out of balance. So what do you need to do? You need to seek more drugs. And if you're using pornography, you need to seek more pornography. You need to seek deeper pornography. You need to seek more harder types of pornography and different types, and this is what happens with the dark spiral of pornography, is the initial addiction you had of dopamine that felt good diminishes over time, so you need more and more and more, and you even need different types to try and just get the erection, as some of these young men I've read on the NoFap blogs are facing. By the grace of God, this is not something I experienced whilst I was a young man using pornography and masturbation. Now, when you realize this is what is going on, and people are getting hooked on the dopamine hit, and you realize that spiritual sages have said abstinence from ejaculation or spilling your seed allows you to progress more spiritually, then you come to understand a certain way of the world. And when you look around at the pornography industry and you say, how is it, I know from being a young man, I use these things, to the shame of myself, I use them. How is it that when I was younger and looking at these things, there were thousands of websites with hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of free videos of pornography? Where are they making their money? And the adverts are all for little silly, tin pot companies who can't afford a lot of money to advertise. So where are they making their money from this industry? And this is where you get to the point where it's clearly not about profit. In that instance, it's not about profit in the least bit. What it's about, it's not profit, then what is it about? And the only thing you're left with is that it's about controlling. It's about saturating people into a hypersexualized state, which is something that I've mentioned before was designed in a cultural Marxist principle by the elitists who wish to control us, Freemasonic societies, Fabian socialists, people put it under one blanket of the Illuminati, however you want to call it. They weaponized sex with the sexual revolution. And this is documented by great minds you will have heard of, like Wilhelm Reich, using the principles of Freud. Freud, a man whose work I'm not so overly keen on, considering his son or grandson as a convicted paedophile? I mean, it says a lot. This is not a doctrine you want to be following. It's just not. Now, they weaponized this, and as I look around, pornography has been weaponized. It's hypersexualizing young men and women all over the planet. It's making you animals. You're not a human being. And thus, I stand wholeheartedly against pornography, digital pornography, any which way, shape or form. Now, I'm careful to say digital because there are ancient art forms on the planet that depict pornography that you probably in this day and age wouldn't get any sort of sexual stimulus from and just say it was now art. But digital pornography, anything, pictures, videos, so on and so forth, it does not belong in our society. It's not okay. It's not normal. It is not normal. And we raise our children embodied in this Luciferian lie that, hey, boys will be boys, girls will be girls. This is what we do. We have sex with random people. We masturbate. This is what we do. And this is so untrue. You come somewhere like this where families are growing up, many persons in the same room. They're not masturbating when they're sharing a bed. They have a completely different relationship with sexuality. Every European country I've gone to has a hand sign which imitates a man masturbating, and a swear word to go with it as an insult. Here it doesn't exist. That doesn't exist because it's not part of the culture and the sexuality. Of course, people do it, but in the most part, it's not like it is in the West. Not like in school, they tell you, yeah, it's normal for you to do that. Is it really normal for your child to go and lock themselves in their room and play with themselves most evenings? Now, of course, as I say, there comes a point of healthy and unhealthy, as with everything. And this is how I see it. If you can't stop, then you're addicted and it's unhealthy. So what you need to do is take a period of abstinence. Read these no-fap things, just have a period of abstinence and stop ejaculating and masturbating.